Hi there, I'm digital anchor Brandy Smith. We're standing by just ahead of a Uvalde CISD meeting. There's going to be two meetings tonight. The first is a special meeting to address changes to the next school year, including security changes. And then at 6:30, the normal scheduled school board meeting gets underway. I'm going to give you a live look inside the high school auditorium, and it's being held in a high school because the school board anticipates a pretty big crowd. You can see folks are protesting, law enforcement there as well. I've seen a lot of community members in Robb Elementary shirts. This is the same auditorium where Governor Abbott held that first press conference after the shooting on May 24th, if you're familiar, the one that was interrupted by Beto O'Rourke, the one where the family kind of got going as well there. If you look at the wide shot of the stage, it probably looks familiar. One of the reasons that this meeting is getting a lot of attention is that it falls the day after House Special Committee looking into the Uvalde shooting released its report and detailed some of the failures at the school and district level. The committee noted several problems with the school security procedures. Its report says doors were often left unlocked, and while there was an alert system to notify teachers of an intruder on May 24th, the report called it ineffective. Reporter Cheryl Mercedes goes into more depth looking at those issues for us.
The committee dedicated 16 pages of its report to Robb Elementary School's security and facility procedures. It details school policies for locking doors at Robb. The school principal testified that the school's west building has 3 exterior doors, 2 of which were required to remain locked. But multiple witnesses testified that people at Robb commonly left exterior doors unlocked and that teachers would use rocks to prop open doors and use door stops, wedges, and magnets to prevent interior doors from latching. The attacker entered through an unlocked door at the west entrance, but the committee also learned the exterior doors on the east and south sides of the building were also unlocked. Had school personnel locked the doors as the school's policy required, that could have slowed down his progress long enough to receive alerts, hide children, and lock doors. The report also cites issues with school door maintenance and keys. A 4th grade teacher in room 111, the classroom investigators believe the attacker carried out his rampage, testified that teachers and students knew that the door to his classroom frequently did not lock. The problem with locking the door had been reported to school administration, yet no one placed a written work order for a repair. The school also had an alert system to notify teachers in emergencies, but according to the report, when the principal tried to use an app to notify the school, she had difficulty making the alert because of a bad Wi-Fi signal, and she never tried to communicate the lockdown over the school's intercom. As a result, not all teachers received timely notice of the lockdown, including the teacher in room 111.
You can read more of that 77-page report. In fact, the whole thing is linked on KHU.com. The committee also said in that report that Robb had a culture of non-compliance with safety policies, specifically requiring doors to be kept locked, which turned out to be fatal. The report was only one huge development yesterday in Uvalde. We had the meeting between the families and the legislative committee. We had a press conference, and then hours after that press conference, we saw body cam video from police response for the first time. The mayor of Uvalde released that video saying it was in response to the surveillance video that had been released, saying he felt compelled to do so because this other video was already out there. 3 hours of edited video, multiple different perspectives, and as we wait for this school board meeting to get going, it's set to start here in about 5 minutes. I want to share Marcelino Benito's story, giving us a better look at what was on those body cameras.
Shots fired in the building. I heard somebody say somebody was shot in the head.
Chaos and confusion.
Hey, we going in or we staying here? What are we doing?
As 25 Uvalde police officers descended on Robb Elementary from multiple directions.
Oh,
Shots fired!
701.
Get inside!
PD units.
Go, go, go!
No hesitation as Officer Coronado seen rushing towards the campus. Video released last week from hallway surveillance cameras captured activity on the north side of the building. We watch officers storm in and approach the door, but soon take fire and retreat.
Am I bleeding? Am I bleeding? Am I bleeding?
Officer Canales' body camera captured the moment the gunman shot towards them, and they backed away to safety.
That's my wife's classroom.
Teacher Eva Morales' husband, UCISD Officer Ruben Ruiz, was in that hallway too. The urgency clearly heard in Canales' voice.
Dude, we gotta get in there. DPS is sitting there. We gotta get in there. He just keeps shooting.
More officers arrive on that side of the campus. They're captured on Jesus Mendoza's body cam.
Police department. It's the police.
As they begin searching classrooms for students, DPS rescues the boy who initially spotted the gunman hiding in the restroom. He's rushed out to safety. On the opposite end of the campus was Officer Coronado. When he first stormed into the building, you see a dust cloud after the shooter fired his first 100 rounds. 20 minutes later, his camera gives us a look at the rescue effort underway.
Go, go, run over there.
As students pulled out of windows to safety. Officers also check for students inside classrooms. Rooms dark, backpacks and books left behind when the shooting started. It's Coronado's cam that provides our first look at UCISD Chief Pete Arredondo in the hallway on the south side of the building. Minutes later, the chief and another officer seen trying to unlock a classroom. Multiple keys tried, none of them worked. Meanwhile, the clock kept ticking. At 12:21, nearly an hour after first officers arrived on scene, more shots are fired. No one moves in again. Instead, you hear officers trying to communicate with the shooter.
Mr. Ramos, can you hear us? Mr. Ramos, please don't hurt anyone. These are innocent children.
Despite muffled responses earlier, hard to hear on the body cam, this time the shooter didn't respond. 5 minutes later, Arredondo again on camera on the phone. 7 minutes later, Border Patrol's tactical unit moved in to kill the shooter at 12:50, 73 minutes after first officers stepped foot inside that building.
Along with seeing video of the school district's police chief inside the school, we are also hearing or learning what Chief Pete Arredondo told the committee about that day. He discusses the shooter saying, quote, "I just knew that he was cornered and my thought was, we're a wall for these kids. That's the way I looked at it. We're a wall for these kids. We're not going to let him get these kids in these classrooms where we saw the children." He goes on to say, quote, "When there's a threat, you have to visibly be able to see the threat. You have to have a target before you engage your firearm. That was just something that's gone through my head a million times. Getting fired at through the wall, coming from a blind wall. I had no idea what was on the other side of that wall. But you eliminate the threat when you could see it. I never saw a threat. I never got to physically see the threat or the shooter." And then we have that report released earlier this month from Alert that analyzed the response and found officers should have breached the classrooms through the windows or at least used the windows as a distraction, saying that they also could have breached the sheetrock walls to get inside. If you are just joining us, we are standing by waiting for a school board meeting to get underway. It should start any minute now. This is a special meeting ahead of the general meeting to discuss changes for the upcoming school year in Uvalde. It's being held at a high school auditorium, same auditorium where Governor Greg Abbott gave his first press conference after the shooting at Robb Elementary. We're told that the reason the Uvalde CISD school board decided to have the meeting here was that they expected a good-sized crowd because this is addressing the next school year.
Dropped it.
I'm hearing some noise.
Your pencil in the middle, down there on the floor.
Let me see if I can turn that down. There we go. I apologize for that. As soon as it's clear that the meeting is underway, I'll just let the live feed go, but it sounded like they were just getting set up or maybe testing the mic in that instance. So far, as we've had this camera rolling, and we do have Xavier Walton there for the meeting. He'll report at 6 and 10 on KHU 11. Annie Yeli Ruiz has been in Uvalde as well. She spoke with the family members of the victims, getting their reaction to the report. You can watch everything that those guys have put together, as well as Cheryl Mercedes' reports, Marcelino Benito's reports on khuu.com. The easiest way is to go to khuu.com/Uvalde, or go to our KHU 11 YouTube page, and we have a playlist with all of the stories that we've done. Sorry, just giving a listen in, because the meeting was set to start just about now.
Ready to rock and roll?
Since it sounds like they're about to get going, I'm going to go ahead and leave you with this live feed. Again, we'll have complete coverage tonight on KHU 11 News at 6 and 10.
Okay, 1 and 14. 11, 12. 13, 14, right. Okay.
Accountability! Now, we want you to be accountable for the injustice that has done to our children. Dr. Howell,
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Thank you for joining us today. I call this special meeting of the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We will start off with the invocation that will be led by Ms. Laura Perez. If you'll enjoy.
If you'll please bow your heads with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your blessings and help as we are gathered together. We pray for your guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work. We ask that you place your loving and healing hands on our community. God did not promise days without pain, laughter, days without sorrow, nor sun, or without rain, but he did promise strength for the day, comfort for the tears, and light for the way. Romans 8:28. God promises to make something good out of the storms that bring devastation to your life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We now lead a Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge
allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
May be seated. Starting out with item number 2, which is the open forum. Just wanted to let everybody know the purpose of this forum is to provide a time for the public to comment and or ask questions about the changes and updates for the 2022-2023 school year, to include questions regarding safety and security plans. The open forum will be conducted in an orderly fashion to allow the audience and board to hear and respond to each speaker. We really appreciate you being here. We're here to listen to you. We will dialogue with you. That's why we had this special meeting separate from our regular meeting, so that way it gives us the opportunity to answer as best as we can any questions you may have. Do we have all the answers? Maybe we may not have them all, but we're going to do our best to try to answer everything you have, any concerns you may have. Please be respectful of the people that are speaking. That's who we will address, that's who we will speak to, because we want to make sure we hear the question correctly, and that, of course, the audience that out there hears what we have to say as well, right? The last thing we want is for people to be talking over each other, and then there's going to be frustrations from people that didn't hear what we said or something, some piece of important information that got covered, okay? So we definitely ask for your respect for that, those that are speaking, and once again, we'll do our best to answer the questions that you may have tonight, okay? I'm going to turn over to Dr. Harrell.
Thank you, Board President. First of all, thank you for being here, and we offer our condolences to all the families. The release of yesterday's report, I know, must be extremely heavy on each one of you. At the last meeting, we were too formal, and that was not the right way to handle that evening. Tonight, we have formatted an evening to where we can listen to you, hear your thoughts, and share with you. We have decided to hold this open forum in this format, and we should have done so earlier. That is the right thing to do for our community, and I apologize we did not do that earlier. In hindsight, this meeting should have happened earlier. I apologize that it did not. Trying to find the right time, the right balance out of respect, I did not do well. A young man shared with me last week and put it in great perspective when I met with him and his family, that there's not going to be a good time to meet. You just have to show up and meet. And he was right. I welcome the interim report that was delivered yesterday. It was very thorough, provided a lot of detailed information, gave some very concrete information and elements for us to consider in our decision-making moving forward and for us to implement. Dedicated training and safety protocols is a must for all. Social and emotional learning, we are currently securing days for our staff. Facilities, we are standing up new fence on each campus. Doors, we're replacing some, auditing the functionality, and adding some. Creating entry points on campuses that do not currently have them, and reviewing our communication capability in our hallways and our campuses. And again, and also cameras will arrive this week and begin their installation. The House report will help us in our decision-making as we move forward. It was a very detailed and thorough report. So at this point, that is what I have to open with, and I would like to turn it over to the community at this time.
All right, thank you, Dr. Harrell. We'll have our first speaker, which is Mr. Brett Cross. If you'll come to the podium, please, sir.
First of all, I just want to say, last time y'all had us on a time limit of sorts, and that's not going to fly today. There's no other way to put it. We have a lot to say, and we won't be silenced, and we won't be stopped. So if y'all had the idea of a time limit, it's not going to get followed this time. All right, second of all, I just want y'all to take a look. Those are our babies. Those are our teachers. And they're no longer here. And what y'all have been lacking to do, even to this point, is be accountable for y'all's mess ups. That's not it's just fact. Nobody has accepted accountability. So we're going to force y'all to, for y'all's efforts in this. You just said, oh, we should have done it a month ago, in hindsight and everything like that. Yeah, that happened with the security for our kids because y'all didn't verify that doors locked. We had people telling y'all that the doors didn't lock and y'all didn't do a damn thing about it. Why?
That the expectation is those doors to be locked. Absolutely is.
Y'all knew that they didn't.
I was not aware that that lock was not working.
Okay, so then you're the superintendent, you're top dog, correct?
Yes.
So you should know what's going on in your schools?
Correct.
Why don't you?
I did not know that it was working or not working at that time.
All right, well, here's the thing is you're ahead of the school police, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how did they know that the doors didn't lock?
Sorry?
How did they know that the doors didn't lock?
That's what I understand.
Yes, I'm saying Pete Arredondo knew.
Yes, that's what I understand, yes.
Okay, so just for everybody, I'm going to play a little clip from the body cam footage. It's about 3, 4, 5 seconds long of his words. I don't know if y'all could hear that or not. So what he says in Mr. Coronado's body cam footage at 1 hour and 8 minutes and 18 seconds, he says, that door, I bet you is unlocked. I bet you is unlocked. We tell them and tell them and tell them. And he did nothing to go in. He didn't try it or anything. Why the hell does he still have a job with y'all?
Chief Arredondo is on administrative leave at this point.
Is he getting paid? Accountability. So I do have a question, okay? Are you going to fire him?
That will be a decision. We will take the report into consideration. It will be a closed session decision.
On the internet, clear as day. Wake up.
I mean, I literally just gave you proof that he knew that the doors were unlocked, didn't do nothing about it, dereliction of duty, he didn't do anything, and you're still standing by that. You're still standing by paying him to take a vacation, correct?
No. He is on administrative leave. We received this information yesterday. One of the things I did say when he went on administrative leave that we were going to wait for investigative information to come forward to help us in our decision-making process, and I will stick to that.
All right, well, I'll tell you this. If he's not fired by noon tomorrow, then I want your resignation and every single one of you board members because y'all do not give a damn about our children or us. Stand with us or against us, because we ain't going nowhere.
I know this is supposed to be done in an orderly fashion, and I know that I'm not up next, but somebody asked, do you check your doors at night and make sure that your doors are locked? I'm pretty sure you make sure you're secure at your home, don't you?
Yes.
So the school should have been your home, right? This is still your home. You should have been in charge, and you should have made sure when those reports were made, you're the head. You are the head of everybody there, so you should have made sure those reports were being fulfilled. All the reports, not just the locks, whatever damages, whatever it is that was done, you should have made sure that they were there. Just the same way that you protect your children, you should have protected ours.
Yes.
The next thing is that we held Pete accountable because he was a chief. We all held Mariano accountable because he's the chief of police. Now we're holding you accountable, and we're asking you to step down. Step down. You do not deserve to be up there either. And it's so hard to sit here and tell you that because we all had the utmost respect for you, for Pete, for Mariano, for JJ, for all the officers that looked us in the face and said, we got it. We got control of this. Don't worry. We got you. to come to find out that the school district failed us too. If things are not done the way they need to be done, we are prepared to walk out. We are prepared to keep our children home and not start school. So postponing the start of school is not going to matter to us as long as it's not secure. And not only that, we want it audited to make sure that it's done correctly, because we can't trust y'all to make sure it's done right.
That is going to be my expectation. You're exactly right. It needs to be audited. It needs to be checked daily. You're exactly right.
Y'all aren't going to keep making money off of our children while they're just sitting ducks.
And we have met, Dr. Harrell and I have been meeting the past couple of weeks, and we are going through the auditing. We're going to do everything in our power to get it done correctly. Delaying just step one, because that's what delaying was the number one action we did, because we don't want to start something that's not ready. We don't. And that's all of us on this team feel the same way. We don't want anything that's not ready for the children to be out there. We know we got to earn your respect back. We know we got to earn your trust back. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. And so we will work day in and day out to get it right. We will. Now, the report, just as y'all got it, that's what we got it. That's what we seen. That's what I read. That's what we read the statements that were in there. I'm still going back and reading it over and over to make sure I didn't miss anything. Because the last thing we want to do is make an uninformed decision, right? We want to make informed decisions, the correct decisions. And we got to do it right. Because if you notice, if anything we've gotten from this whole process is the misinformation that's been out there, right? The this and that, the pull back, forward back, forward back, forward back, which is very frustrating. It's been frustrating on my part as well. So now that we have the report, we have the information that we need as a team to make decisions going forward, we will meet and get it done correctly. We will.
It's amazing how much security y'all have here for this meeting with these parents. But there, and the amount of bailouts that were at Robb, y'all couldn't even have not even a partial security.
And we expect that to change. It will change.
Yes. Yeah. See, next one is Miss.
Why isn't JJ here?
I'll.
He was waving a gun at us. He waved a gun at us, but he didn't wave a gun at them. He was chicken shit. Why is that? Why did he have a gun on us?
That we were not aware of, sir. I really. No, sir.
Everybody, didn't he?
Yeah.
See that gun?
So again, can you answer why he's not here right now?
He is. Yes, and I'll answer that question. I will answer that question for you. JJ is currently. I don't know if you've seen the post online, but MLB did reach out to the Uvalde Little League, and they requested a Little Leaguer along with the president of the board of Little League to go be present. They asked for Representative Uvalde. That's where he's at.
Well, I'm glad that he's got his priorities.
Yeah. And so that's the true, honest truth. Being open with you, being transparent. I ain't hiding one bit at all of where he's at. That's where he's at. I'm not able to be here. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Ms. Rachel Martinez. Do I have Ms. Rachel Martinez?
Good evening. My name is Rachel Martinez. I'm a mom of 4 children that attend this district. I'm standing in front of you today with so much concern and anxiety for my children's safety. I, like many mothers in this community, have hesitation sending our kids back to school this year. There's an anxiousness in my heart that is only worsened by the fear my children have. I think no one person here today can deny there was a massive failure on May 24th. Where these failures lie is the question. My first answer to that is your resource officers. The school resource officers hired to police the school grounds were unable to fulfill their duties. These people employed by you, the school district, are still employed. In any profession, if you are lacking the skills to do your job, which leads to mistakes, failures, or losses to the company, Does that not warrant them a reason to remove you from your position? So if the failures from your employees cause such heartbreaking loss, the most significant loss imaginable, our children, our teachers, why do you continue to employ these officers? And furthermore, think we will return our children to you for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and expect us to trust you with their lives. You want to add more security officers to your current staff, yet the current staff is incompetent and liable for the already massive failure. You need to clean house. You need to start from zero. Hire experienced, trained officers who are prepared to take on the responsibility to protect our children, not people who are complacent. The current officers hang out at the high school every day. I have children at 4 different campuses, and the only time I've seen any of your employed officers, other than at the high school, is directing traffic at Dalton. Is that what you hired them for? My second answer to that question is the school campuses. The failed safety mechanisms intended to keep our children secure. I understand you've sent out an email to address upgrades to the school, perimeter fencing and security cameras and things like that. But why were these issues not already addressed? The exit entrance doors failed to lock. These doors failed to lock. Our kids' first line of defense against intruders, against an outside threat, failed to lock. Why are we even here talking about this? I get ID to be able to check my child out for a doctor's appointment, but this killer walked right into our school. The irony in this situation is exasperating, and this failure falls on all of you. When you go home tonight and you lock your doors before you go to bed, remember, that shouldn't be a luxury. Dalton Elementary, where my youngest attended pre-K last year, is so exposed. I can see my child's classroom from the street as I pass by. A bright yellow door labeled room 3, visible and accessible to any threat. These are the things that haunt me. These are the things that keep me up at night. And I wonder, have you thought of these things? Have they crossed your mind? So I ask you, what are you going to do about your failures? Are you going to take responsibility? Are you going to make this right? What options are you making available to parents and children who are unwilling to return to campus? I come to you on behalf of my children. My daughter Layla is so terrified of the thought of having to return to school in just a few short weeks that she comes to tears. What will you tell her? What answers do you have for her fears when she only feels safe at home or next to us, her parents? I can assure you that my children are not mentally prepared to return to campus, and my husband and I are unwilling to send them. I speak for my children, but I also speak for the rest of the parents in the community who feel the same as I. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments, Ms. Martinez. Appreciate it.
And Ms. Martinez, yes, I agree with you. There is lots of failures, and we are working to correct those failures. I'll never be able to bring back what we lost. Absolutely will not. I pray each night for the families. But I do lie awake at night thinking about how we can be better, how we can improve, and how we can secure our campuses for your children and regain that trust. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Yes, and Ms. Martinez, I want to echo what Dr. Harrell has mentioned. I myself also driven by every campus, looking at every single entry. Same way as you say, I drove by Dalton this morning, drove by Flores.
For y'all to do that, like seriously?
I drove by every day. Every time we get a chance, I drop off my kid at school.
For y'all to pay attention to that. That should have been something that y'all thought about way before this happened.
Yes, and I completely agree with you, ma'am. I agree with you. Completely agree. All right, we will go to the next one, Mr. Ben Adams.
Good evening, members of the school board. Dr. Harrell, members of the school board, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. Some of you know me as Doc Adams. I'm the Uvalde head athletic trainer for the entire CISD. Very few know me as Corporal Adams, a former United States Marine Corps machine gunner with a combat deployment to Afghanistan. Although that might be a whole lifetime ago, I say that to highlight to you that I'm an asset to the security of the school. I feel that Uvalde CISD needs to incorporate a Marshall program, one that I volunteer for. My profession as an athletic trainer, I deal with emergency actions all the time. Catastrophic events, life-altering events. I protect children. That's my job. Either from themselves, the elements, or an overzealous coach. I will gladly extend that duty to protect them some more. I have a license to carry, of which I train diligently. I have combat experience. I have combat triage experience. And I have a formal education in emergency medicine. I am oftentimes one of the first persons at this school, and oftentimes one of the last people to leave this school. That's just the nature of the beast. Given the location of my office, I can quickly be anywhere I need to be fast. There's a med kit, a go bag in my truck right now, ready for anything. And at this moment in time, it is evident that no one is coming for us. And we must protect our own. At the previous school district that I worked for, each semester, once a semester, we had a staff development day dedicated to active shooter lockdown drills. There were no children there. It was all teachers trained for what specific task that each teacher had concerning their area of operation, their classroom. Who clears this bathroom? Who clears that bathroom? Who clears this stairwell? Who clears that hallway? I feel going forward we need to do that just the same. It's a full day. That brings me to my final point, the Raptor alert system. When I was introduced to that system, just at the high school, it was a small, maybe 10, 15-minute talk about what it is, what we need to do. Download the app, and it allows you the opportunity to lock down a school. And that was it. We weren't, a formal presentation on it wasn't given. Not to be rude or anything, but there are people that are technologically not as up to date as downloading a new app and running a new app. I feel that should have been done a little better. When real teachers, I may be a teacher, but I'm not like a real teacher. There's English teachers that teach the whole 45, 55 minutes nonstop. They don't have their phone with them. They're not staring at their computer waiting for that email. That delay between someone hitting that button and the intercom, 1 to 2 minutes can change a lot of things. I don't know if there's an automatic system in place. When someone hits that lockdown button, if it dings off in the office and an administrator gets on it and announces a lockdown, I don't know. Which goes back to the fact that it was introduced to us in a short 10-minute morning presentation before school started. Once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. And as Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Appreciate it, sir. Next with Jeremiah Bills.
Some of you know me, some of you don't. I've been running private security down at the border because DHS has failed us. You have failed our kids. This entire year, I have gone up to the central office and I've asked why. Are there drugs in our schools? Why are the kids fighting in the bathrooms? I've gotten no answers. They're posting inappropriate things on social media. I've gotten no answers. This is the first time everybody's come together. It took this. That's not right. You've all failed us. And if something doesn't change soon, I will pull all 3 of my kids out of your school.
Thank you, Ms. Bills. We have Mr. Rosenberg Risa.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, sir.
My name is Rosenberg Risa. Some of you may know me. My nephew, Jerry Mata, my niece, Veronica Mata, they're the parents of Tess Mata. They couldn't be here, but they gave me a call this morning to ask Dr. Harrell this question. Why is Pete Arredondo still getting paid, being at home, while other parents are trying to take care of their kids and not getting paid? And this has been going on for 2 months or whatever, but he's still sitting home. At first he had protection. I mean, you could get 4 or 5 police cars there, you know, but where was the protections for the kids? That's what they want me to ask you. And the other thing is that they want him fired. Plain and simple, they want Pete Arredondo fired. If not, this was relayed to me by them. They respect you a lot, Dr. Harrell, but they're losing that respect from you. Plain and simple. That's how they put it to me.
Yeah.
My personal thing, this is me. That was their question for them. My personal thing is, okay, y'all talk about security, this or that. I know the time is coming up to go back to school. What if the doors still don't lock? What if there's no policemen or nothing like that? And the date, I don't know what it is, August 15 or maybe afterwards, I'm not too sure. So now, are you still going to start the school at that date without the school being protected and without the police around and everything? Are you going to start the school at that time, or are you going to wait until everything is secure, at least at that point?
Good questions. So back to your first question on the chief. The chief is, as I've mentioned earlier, on administrative leave. This report that we just received will help us make more informed decisions. So the second thing on starting school, I've got a recommendation to the board tonight to postpone the start until after Labor Day, and currently working with the Texas Department of Emergency Management to stand up fencing, have additional security on our campuses, ensure that our doors are equipped as they need to be for that first day of school for all of our students and our staff.
And also, one of the things that I would like when school starts, and for you all, the school board and everybody, go unannounced to the schools and just walk. And then, because every single day I would go pick up my grandson, and I'm telling you this, I would go pick up my grandson at the high school, what would I see? I would see 4 police officers under one tree. And that was constant day after day after day, because I went Monday through Friday. I would go at 2 o'clock sometimes, 4 o'clock sometimes, because I picked up my grandson. And the first thing I would see every single day was 4 police under a tree. And that's the tree by the courtyard. They're at the high school. And I kept wondering myself, what are they doing there? What are they doing? Why isn't one running, walking the halls, one over here on this side, one on that side? But if one of you would have had gone there, you would have seen the same thing. And I hope this time, this school year, you all go there, and if you see 2 or 3 just gossiping under the tree, fire all 3 of them. That's what needs to happen, because you need to take responsibility, because it starts at the top.
Yes, sir.
It starts at the top. And I'm upset about it. The reason is because I saw this day after day after day there. And one of them was Pete Arredondo. Also right there, every single time they were just talking. And that's what it is. Like I said, you all need to walk it. I don't know, get out of the office, go out there, sweat a little bit, and go over there and look at that. That's what needs to happen. And that's what I'm asking the school board and yourself. That's me asking y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Risa.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Risa. Next up, we have Mr. Russell Becker.
President Fernandez, Dr. Harrell, board members, thank you. I honestly feel like I'm going to give you a little bit of a break here, because I actually do want to talk about the 2022-2023 school year. My question is this. Unfortunately, unlike Ms. Martinez, I don't have the option to not send my kids to your schools. I just want to make sure that with the changes to the security, with everything that's going on, that the education of the students is not going to be negatively impacted. The reason for this is kind of twofold. One, it already has, and it already is being impacted. But I want to make sure that not only are we secure, but also that that education continues on for the students, specifically mine, obviously. The other part of that is we have already done that, right? We've already affected the education of these students over the last several years, what with COVID and then, of course, with this terrible tragedy that occurred. That's mainly my question, and what exactly, I guess, is the new school year? You just said that you were looking to push it back beyond Labor Day. How far is that going to push it into the next year? Are we still looking at the same end date, or are we looking at going into the summer with that? Also, what are we looking at for the holiday breaks? Obviously, I'm going to assume that the October break is going to be gone completely. What is that looking like?
So a couple things. The back end of the school year will extend about 4 days. We have taken days out of the school year, shorter breaks of that nature, to make up the difference in the delayed start of the school year.
Okay. So one of the things that I want to make sure that we are focusing on too is within that education, and this may not be something that really anybody wants to think about right now, but the security of this community is in the strength of this community. And I don't want to push back a lot of things. I don't want those kids not to have that sense of community, not to have that sense of belonging in this community and the idea of the strength of this community. Like, we have a lot of people in here with the Uvalde Strong shirts. I want to make sure that that message continues on through there, and that we're not neglecting that for for those of us who are still here. I want to make sure that we understand that that community is what gives us the security, because in this instance, the fact of the matter is it was that breakdown in the community, the breakdown in the education of that person that created this situation in the first place. What are we doing to strengthen the community of our children? What are we doing as far as the education goes? When we talk about the different trainings that you're providing to educators, to the counseling staffs, to the administrators, even to the security staff. What trainings are you looking at in order to provide and strengthen the idea of Uvalde to our students?
Through some of the implementations of our social emotional learning, those will help to bring us back into a community that supports one another. The training will go to the teachers, to the campus staff, and then would also be campus counselors will go into students, into the classrooms, and have lessons for those purposes as well.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Decker.
Next up, we have Mr. Adam Martinez.
Hello. So this message is to the school board, not to Dr. Harrell. I come to you today with an ask not only from me, but some of my fellow Uvaldians. I and several others have filed grievances against our superintendent. So far, we have 7. I asked 7 parents. They filed 7 grievances, and there's going to be more. Y'all hire him, y'all can fire him. I ask that you read these complaints. Do not let our voices go unheard. The systemic failures are a reflection of his leadership. From key shortages, relaxed schedules, lack of preventative maintenance, and a failure to be proactive for a horrible situation like this. Please also understand the responsibilities you are taking on. We are asking officers who are on a daily basis directing traffic, performing walkthroughs, addressing fights, to go up against AR-15s. The video speaks for itself. They are not prepared. The school resource officer program started way before the mass shooting, like Sandy Hook, Parkland, Columbine, and many more. The standards have changed, and you are in over your heads. You need help, and it's time to swallow your pride and admit it. Y'all don't know the first thing to ask when hiring an officer capable of stopping an active shooter. Let the school officers continue to be hall monitors, but please don't put them in charge of our babies. Throughout the past several years, towns like Canepa, Sabinal, Utopia, Classical Academy, they have seen an increase in enrollments to the point where they have waiting lists. It's time to clean house, and that starts at the top. I ask that you step out of your comfort zone. Out of the inner circle and listen to our voices. The grandparents, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, legal guardians and citizens. The true Uvalde strong.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Next up, we have Ms. Tina Quintanilla Taylor. And student, correct your student with you? Yes.
You didn't answer my question. Are you going to do an administrative investigation now that I've filed these grievances?
Yes, sir. That is the procedures that once we receive, we will follow through on the reading through all of them and go through the formal process, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you going to leave it open to public record?
No, sir. Personnel matters are to be conducted behind executive. No, sir. That is the rules. I'm just going to follow the rules because the last thing, once again, right, we don't want to violate any rules that then will tarnish something, right? We want to do it the right way. All right, go ahead, Mr. Quintanilla.
Hi, all of you know me, Tina Quintanilla Taylor, and this is my daughter, Maylee Taylor. And I have a few things I'd like to say. First of all, I'm taking this off. Okay? Number one, Anne Marie Espinosa, your executive communication director. I like her to be placed, or actually just fired, okay? Because let me tell you something. My timeline does not match your timeline. She notified us at 11:52 a.m. that we were on lockdown. Our kids were being massacred and slaughtered. Don't write notes like you don't know these times, sir. At 12:19, she called that there was an active shooter. Today I sat next to your attorney for a good reason, to represent these families right here as an equal to him, because your leadership sucks. 2 times I went to the board to complain to y'all about school security. One of them was not having a gymnasium. I complained about this to them. I said, we don't have a gym. Raise money, Tina. Raise money. Guess what? You need an architect and an engineer. Guess where the money went? A Harmony Park. All right? I brought that up to you. Did I not? Tell me I'm lying so we could bring up the minutes. I'm waiting for your response.
You have brought it up to my attention.
Thank you. Secondly, school security, your fancy metal detectors. How many do you have? Let me guess, 2?
Correct.
Yeah. Second time I brought it up to the school, your fancy metal detectors. To Anne Marie Espinosa, where are you? Where are you? Where is she? I brought it up to her. Stand up for your photo op. I brought it up to her. I said, your metal detectors are fancy, but our Honey Bowl Stadium is open 24/7 to the public, and if I want to come and have a shootout, I would just come the night before and pack my AK. Actually, my dad's. Pack it. Very, very awesome to have metal detectors for show. Is that what they're for? Because you're not doing anything preventative. My daughter has something to say.
This was the last dress that all my friends saw me on. Most of those kids were my friends. And that's not good. And I don't want to go to your guys' school if they don't have protection.
And she's encouraging for her friends not to go to school too. Advocacy starts at this age. Leadership is standing up here and showing our children that that is not leadership. That is poor leadership. Robb Fowler, I'm for you next. Mr. On CNN for bringing the cops water. Wonderful, great job. Glad you could do that. I am disgusted with your leadership. I can't even call you doctor. I'm going to be a doctor next May, and I don't see you as my peer. I don't. Cal, come on. You're a vet. What would you done? Answer.
I don't have an answer for you.
You don't have an answer. Don't have an answer? You don't have an anscer for these families?
Excuse me. Can I excuse me just a minute? Sir, I am not a coward. I am a combat veteran of Vietnam. I served 26 years in the Navy, and I served in Desert Storm. Thank you.
So answer the question. What would you have done?
I do not know.
You know, last meeting, you separated us. You had your administration over there, and you had all the parents over here. Today, you said, sit wherever you'd like. Good old boy system, right? Nah, not anymore. No more good old boy system here. Times changed. And you know what? Your schools, they suck. They're not secure. And we're not sending our kids back. And I don't care if you have to call every architect or engineer, get them here and build us a new school, 911 status. And stop giving us time limits. 77 minutes our children are massacred. My timeline doesn't match yours, doesn't match those DPS troopers back there either. Hi. Hi. Wave. Were you there? Were you one of the responders at the school? Just interested. Everything you say from now on, English and Spanish. Comprende? Understand?
Sí.
Wonderful. I appreciate your sarcasm. Looks like you went to school.
No, quiero que comprenda que sí, lo puedo hacer en español si gusta.
Thank you. Lastly, bye-bye. You're out. No more. No more riding your dad's coattails. For generations, we've seen these kids walk through the halls with yours and your dad's name. John Harrell Auditorium outside. Screw you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to Mr. Pastor Daniel Myers, I believe. Daniel Myers.
I'm Pastor Daniel Myers, pastor of church here in Uvalde, my wife and I. And the report that came out yesterday, on one of the headings, it said, main failure. 3 topics on that main failure. School administration, yours. You dropped the ball, brother. Second, training. Your boy Pete, he dropped the ball big time. He's at a school with children, and he doesn't know that he's in command. Third one, commander. There was no commander. How in the world did this man get this title? Who did he pay? Who did he bribe? Because he is no commander, because he didn't even know that he was in charge in a school that he's there to protect. How could this man get this title? Dr. Harrell, everything points towards you and your administration. You dropped the ball big time. My suggestion, do you want to bring healing to this community, to these families? I would suggest that you, the chief of police, Uvalde chief of police, the Uvalde Sheriff's Office, and McCraw, and all those other law enforcement agencies who are in that hall, all come up here and tell these people, these families, we failed you. We failed you. If there's any DPS officers out there that were in that hall, be man enough to come and say, we failed you. If McCraw's not man enough to come and Confront these people. Maybe one of you guys will come and say, we failed you, Uvalde. We failed you, family. If you want to bring healing, Dr. Harold, if you want to bring healing, start with that. Start with that. Bring healing. Either that, retire, turn in your resignation.
Without taking our tax dollars, without stealing our money, without stealing our money.
Those three topics: main failure, administration, training, commander. Over 400 law enforcement officers there. Not one was man enough to go in there. 77 minutes. 77 minutes. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Mr. Hector Luevano?
Thank you, sir. Dr. Harrell, Mr. President, members of the board, I come before you as a citizen and as a member of this community. Condolences to the families who suffered this great loss. May 24th will forever be embedded in our minds and in the hearts of these families. There's nothing that we can do to change it. However, and I'll be short, nobody has to, if we saw this video, let me back up a little bit. We say we're a community that's united. Where are all the teachers? Where are the leaders in this community here? Where is the community? This place should be full. I mean, there should not be an empty seat here if we truly want to support these families. Okay? Nobody has to tell us what happened on May the 24th. We all saw the videos. And it's a shame, it's embarrassing to see the inaction of our officers on that day. What a rude awakening at the expense of these children to understand how unprepared our agencies were. And I'm not only talking about the UCISD, Uvalde Police Department, and yes, I am on the city council, and I will hold them accountable. Okay? There were multiple agencies there. I don't have to tell you this. Everybody saw the video. There needs to be a serious cultural change within our local law enforcement. There has to be a change. We cannot continue from this day forward, actually from May 24th, from that day forward. Change has to happen. These families deserve it. Their children deserve it. Our students deserve it. We cannot stand here and not accept change. Cultural change. What do I mean by this cultural change? We need to change the behavior of our officers. We all saw their behavior on May 24th. Okay? We need to change their practices. They need to change their practices. The processes, whatever process y'all have in place, and I'm speaking for the police department, your police department, the processes need to change. Whatever you have now, they're not working. And the change begins at the top. whatever that may be. Whatever you understand it to be, the change begins at the top, all the way down to the bottom. Somebody mentioned here that we need the police department for the school district needs to change. Y'all need to start with a new slate. Y'all need to start from the beginning. Y'all need a chief of police. This is, I'm suggesting to y'all is y'all need to start with a new chief of police and not anybody internally. Okay? That chief of police will need to require for everybody to reapply for a position if they want to work for this department. And they need to be officers who are prepared, who are willing to serve, and most of all, willing to protect our children in our district. We cannot have, and it cannot be, business as usual. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Loden. Next up, we have Ms. Berlinda Arriola and Angel Garza. I know, Ms. Arriola, you came up. I don't know if you want to come back up again. Okay, just making sure.
So the first time that we came up here, you guys treated us like we were nobodies. The council did the same thing. We addressed them, I addressed you. Mr. Luavenos, thank you so much for changing your attitude and speaking up for us. You guys don't realize how y'all made us feel when we were up here trying to talk to you guys, and y'all gave us this cold look. One member reached out to my family afterwards and apologized, cried to us and apologized. Nobody wants to admit failure. I understand that. But having sincere condolences and reaching out 2 months ago would have been more appropriate than what y'all are doing now. The changes that y'all are trying to make, we understand. But y'all's condolences and apologies don't mean shit to us anymore, excuse my language. Because y'all had the opportunity to treat us a little bit better and y'all didn't. Y'all didn't realize or feel our pain. The only reason why we feel like you're coming out now is because you saw the videos. It's out there, and now we all know the truth. So you all have to understand how we feel coming to y'all and for y'all trying to backpedal is what we feel like y'all are trying to do. Why is it that over a month ago, probably 2 weeks, not even, maybe a week after this happened, a lot of companies reached out to the school district offering to put up fences for free everywhere. Reached out to try to give y'all new doors for free, immediately coming to do all this stuff. They got no response. Trying to help out in any way they can, new doors, new locks, whatever y'all needed. Had companies coming out. Why did y'all not respond to them at that time?
We did get emails, and we are working with many different companies that we did not report back to each and every company that we did receive from.
Didn't you think that that was very important, knowing that we only have like a 2.5-month school break and that we were going to have to return? Didn't you think that that would have been something that we needed to work on immediately? Here we are, 2 months in, less than a month to go back to school, and y'all haven't even started a process. Don't you think that would have been more important at that time?
Through this process, we are expected to get it all done before September the 6th.
You talked about your changes. What do you plan on changing as far as drills? How do you plan on changing that?
Yeah, staff development, professional development, and training, absolutely. It's got to be more intent, got to be more intentional. Mr. Adams made the comment earlier. Absolutely, it has to get better.
Okay. You're doing security. You're doing all these secure changes, doors, locks, to comfort all the parents, grandparents, all the families to send their kids back to school. What do you plan on doing to secure our children, to comfort our children that are scared to go back to school? Because we can't just as a comfort to us knowing that the schools are secure, how can we force our kids to go to school if they do not want to because they are scared? What is your plan for that?
First of all, we do have a director of recovery, and she has been working on social emotional aspects and getting students, staff, the training they need, the trauma-enforced training that they will need as we do return.
Are y'all opening up to send kids virtual?
We have discussed it.
So is that a yes or a no? Is that going to be an option, yes or no?
We are looking into it, and there are some structures that have to be in place, but yes, we are looking at it. That's one of the things we're considering.
My final question is, I need for you to clarify something for me, because there's a rumor, which came directly to us, that one of the I'm just going to call it what it is, the shoe department reached out and offered for the children, the siblings of the deceased and the injured, to send out, to give them new shoes, new socks, and some supplies. The lady reached out to you, the manager reached out to you, and you told her that it was not possible, that you were going to choose the 60 people or however many that it was going to go to, but that you prefer that it go to the high school because all the families are getting money and we can buy our own shoes.
That's absolutely false.
Okay. So if I get her in here or in a meeting, and you will confront her because she's the one that said that she spoke to you personally.
No, absolutely I will.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Garza.
We have Ms.
Thank you for
Yes.
because I mean, you
Yes, ma'am.
picking and choosing who you think for going
No,
up there.
that's what was my next thing. Just looking at the list, and I was going to say thank you very much, Ms. Adriola. Appreciate it, and Mr. Garza as well. Next up, we have Ms. Jasmine Casares.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Casares. Last time we were here, my dad read off some of the UCISD preventative security measures list, and at the House Committee on Homeland Security, the hearing, I read some too. I didn't want to waste anyone's time, so I condensed it a little bit, and I'll talk about 3 specifically. These really stuck with me. So number 6 on the list, I actually provided you with the list if you want to find it. I highlighted the ones that stuck to me most, and I'll speak a little bit on those. Number 6 is threat assessment teams, and I'll read it in quotes. Every campus employs an interdisciplinary team of trained professionals that convene to identify, evaluate, classify, and address threats or potential threats to school security. Following this assessment, this team determines appropriate response and intervention. This includes notification and involvement of parents, a suicide risk assessment, and the development of a written safety plan. Number 7, social media threats. UCISD utilizes Social Sentinel to monitor all social media with a connection to Uvalde as a measure to identify any possible threats that may be made against students or staff within the school district. Just days before the shooting, this man posted, and in quotes, 10 more days, and a picture of his guns. Was that not a red flag to anyone on these teams? Are these teams even in place? Because if they are, they failed. And they continue to fail. And number 11 is the perimeter fencing. Only Dalton, Anthony, and Robb have fencing that enclose the campuses. You know how easy it is to walk off this campus and walk right back on? It didn't work, obviously. There's a couple more, like the number 1 police officers, number 3 security staff, number 10, motion detectors and alarm systems. Number 12, security vestibules and outside door buzz-in systems. Number 14, security cameras. Number 15, radios. Number 16, portable metal detectors. Number 17, the locked classroom door policy. And number 18, staff training. Again, I don't want to drag this on for too long. But were these any of these invested in? Do you know?
What was the question again, ma'am?
Were any of these invested in?
Were these investigated?
Invested, and would they be utilized?
We use, yeah, we do use these.
Okay. Well, I I highlighted the number on every single one if y'all want to re-go through those one day.
Yes, ma'am.
But how am I supposed to come back here? I'm going to be a senior. How am I supposed to come back to this school? What are you guys going to do to make sure I don't have to watch my friends die? What are you going to do to make sure I don't have to wait 77 minutes bleeding out on my classroom floor just like my little sister did? I know there's nothing you can do to bring my sister back, but maybe, just maybe, if you do something to change this, you can prevent the next family from losing their child. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Consolidated. We do.
They weren't being utilized, right? Because this might have been prevented if all of those systems were being utilized. So correct, they weren't.
The expectation is that they all be utilized. Yes, ma'am.
Who looks for that? Like, who's in charge of making sure that stuff like that, as far as like the Facebook posts and all that stuff, who's in charge of that?
Social Sentinel is a program that we contract with, and they do inform us when they find threats or alerts that rise to the level for us to investigate. Part of the evaluation process. Right. It will be part of that process that we'll go through and review and make sure we have the very best possible. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll work to get them corrected. We definitely will. No, ma'am.
There is only one camera in that hallway that belongs to the UCSD. I do not know what was captured by either the Texas Rangers or DPS. They came in and took the footage. Only thing I've seen is what you've seen. Correct.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My son will go to school here. Yes, ma'am. That's why I'm working hard to as well for y'all, not only for y'all's kids, for my kid as well, because I'm committed to it, and I got to show my commitment to y'all, right? Because what kind of a person would I be to send my kid somewhere else, right?
But if it were your child, would you feel any differently?
Yes, ma'am. And that's why I empathize with y'all. I have put myself in your shoes. I have. Yes, next one, we got Ms. Rosa Arizmendi, please.
Good evening. My name is Rosa Arizmendi. I have 3 children in the school district. This past year, an 8th grader at Morales Junior High, a 2nd grader at UDLA, and a 4th grader at Robb Elementary. I'm also grade aunt to Eliana Garcia. I want to take this time to actually get answers rather than just make statements, because this is what this forum is for, and I don't want to answer that is not acceptable, because if you were to ask me what would I have done, I don't have military training. I'm not a veteran. I'm not anything that you mentioned. I probably would have been dead trying to get in there. I want to ask because everyone wants accountability. Mr. P. Arredondo is pending investigation, whatnot. What is it exactly that will have to be brought up for you guys to decide that he should no longer be employed? Because any employment, if you are not up to your job description, you should not be employed. His job description was a chief. He should have been commander. He should not have questioned or doubted that he should have been the commander, because that is his job description as the chief of UCISD. So whether this investigation says, well, he didn't play enough of a part to directly have caused those children's death, he did not fulfill his job description. Point blank. So what is it that it's going to take for you guys? What is the what are you going to look for in the investigation to make that decision?
We will continue to look at the evidence that the House Committee has brought forward. The videos, we just saw those as recent as you did, and the report that came out yesterday. We will use all that information to inform our decisions.
And what from the videos are you looking for? What information from those reports will you be looking for, other than he did not do his job?
I saw what you saw, and I read what you read, and it's very concerning. But this is not the forum for me to discuss contractual obligations with a school employee.
Mrs. Mandy Gutierrez has not been brought up to question. So earlier, someone asked, why did you not know those doors were locked or did not work, et cetera, et cetera? You did not know. Whose responsibility is it to oversee that campus?
It is campus principal, yes, ma'am.
Campus principal. So why is she not being questioned, being put under administrative leave for not having fulfilled her duty? She failed to bring up the necessary information to you. You take all the fault for it. You said you did not know. You have others under you that are supposed to be doing those things, and Ms. Gutierrez should have been the one to have done that. So she also needs to be put on administrative leave or not be rehired because she did not fulfill her duty. As I mentioned earlier, I have several children in different campuses. On May 24th, 2 of them were in classrooms with a substitute teacher who did not have a key to lock her classroom. My 8th grader and his whole class was escorted outside of their classroom with their hands above their heads by law enforcement carrying an AR-15 to the front of the school. Being that they have, these teenagers have social media, have cell phones, have access to it during the school, they're well aware of everything that was happening, and he feared for his life. This man escorting them with an AR-15 was not someone that he trusted at the moment. And he was escorted out along with his class because his door was not locked. And their solution, Morales Junior High, whoever decided to do this, Their solution was to take that classroom out to the front of the campus and said, call your parents to come pick you up. When we get there, we were not allowed to pick them up. Herding these children out like cattle, had there actually been someone at that campus, exactly, he was an open target. Will substitutes have keys this following next year?
Yes, they'll have access to lock their doors. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I will ensure that.
Because my daughter also, at Robb, 4th grade, had a substitute with the door unlocked. She was not present at that moment, and I cannot fathom the thought that she would have been, because she would have been exposed as well. We keep talking about what we're going to do in this next coming school year. Security measures will be put in place and so on and so forth. I want elaboration on that. What will the fencing look like?
The fencing will be, that we are purchasing is 8 foot tall, non-climbable, that will encompass the campuses.
Every single campus for this upcoming year?
At this point, we will get the elementary campuses done. It looks like we'll get Morales Junior High done. High school will be a different challenge, but we are working on some additional structures to that we can't come completely around the high school, but we can bring it to a much more secure point.
Why would the high school not be a priority like the elementary as well? Because that 8th grader I talked to you about, who was taken out of his classroom at 14 years old as if he was the shooter.
It is a priority.
He's going into high school and he's not going to be protected?
No, it is a priority. What you will see at Dalton, UDLA, those campuses, it will completely encompass the campus. But here at the high school, there are ways we can make it more structured from wall to wall, as opposed to completely encompassing the campus. I fully intend to keep our teenagers safe. Yes, ma'am.
What other security plans do you have in place? They're going to have training, whatnot. I suggest that we go to closed campuses. We took a lot of precaution during COVID. We weren't allowed to step inside. We had to call the office from our car and not get off because of COVID. Why would we not take the same precautions against gunmen?
We can definitely consider that, yes, ma'am.
I would also ask that in the coming days, we get a detailed, we need transparency as far as what it is that you guys are working on. What are the plans? What will be the security measures that I can then tell my children to give them a sense of security to return back to school? I'm requesting that you guys come up with something and publish that so that it can be common knowledge and not just the people who are taking the time to be here today, but those who aren't able to be here right now, so that everyone can be well aware of what it is that the plan is supposed to be for the next coming new year, school year. Another thing is, I keep hearing you say, we expect, we expect, we expect. Are the fences going to be put up? We expect them to be put up before the school year starts. We expect this and that. What if it is not completed? What then?
We will know ahead of time if it is not going to be completed, and we will make some adjustments as such when we get that detailed information.
Adjustments such as, so the beginning of the school year starts and the adjustments or the perimeter fencing isn't complete, the doors are not locked. Okay. Why are we having the children's summer activities? The jump start for the Dalton. My son is currently going to band camp this week. We don't have any sort of different extra measures or security right now. Why are we resuming those activities as normal?
I will look into that. I thought we did have.
So my son went to school at 8 a.m. for a band. I picked him up at 12 for lunch, as they have a 1-hour lunch. There's absolutely no one out there for or anything. The children at Dalton as well, there's no difference right now being made as far as their security. Is that something that y'all can do something about immediately?
Absolutely.
Because these things are being done as we speak this week immediately.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Understand that Uvalde is the laughing stock of the United States as far as our security, as far as our law enforcement, as far as our school district. You have to understand that there's a lot of cycles that are still coming here to the grandmother's house, praising the POS for what he did. You have to understand that we are scared to send any of our children back to school, afraid that this will happen a second time because there's no accountability here. Everybody knows how everybody here failed. Everybody knows it now. So we're looking to see a second time around. That's what we're afraid of. And we can't sit here and say, we're expecting. We need it, we're getting it done. Do your job now.
We are at a point in time where what we speak of cannot be taken as this won't happen again. Something like this can't happen because no one anywhere expects this to happen. I have family members in nearby towns They never expected something like this to happen in Uvalde. So we cannot simply sit here and say, well, we'll look into it, expecting something like this to never happen again, because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Lastly, for those of you on the board, some of you need to lose your pride who are sitting up here. You need to take the punch of what these people have to say. It might hurt you and it might hurt your ego, but you need to let it go because these people are more than hurt. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wendy. Next up, we have Mr. Alonso Diaz.
Good evening. My question is on security. And the reason I'm asking this question is not only for the community, but I have grandchildren in school. I have a daughter that's a teacher, and my wife is also working for UCISD. So it affects the community as much as me. So I read that you guys are going to have cameras, fences, doors, and locks. But are you keeping the same school police personnel? That's my question. Are you keeping?
We are looking to add additional personnel.
No.
Yeah.
Are you keeping the same ones?
Yeah. We are working also with the Texas Department of Emergency Management to have additional outside agencies come for the start of school and through the school year.
That's not the question. Listen, he wants to know if the same 5 officers are still employed with the school district. We want to know.
Are you?
The same 5 officers that were in the hallway, are they still there?
We'll use the report that we received to evaluate and make informed decisions.
Okay, I also read that you will be hiring new ones. Are you guys going to have like a process like to screen them and to, there's got to be a way to screen those people so that they will actually run into the line of fire and not run away like I saw in the video.
We do have a team who is interviewing these. Yeah. Ken Miller. He is.
What's his name?
Ken Miller, Officer Mike Hernandez, and there's a couple others that have been on this committee as well. Thank you.
The main thing that I want to know is if you guys are going to have the same people, there has to be an accountability of their actions. And in this case, it wasn't any actions that they took, and there's got to be accountability. It just can't go like nothing happened. There are a lot of lives lost, and if it, God forbid, it happened again, those guys can't be there anymore. There has to be accountability with the school police department. That's why I'm addressing you, because it's a school issue. I'll address the city when I go to the city, but with you, it's the school officials that did it, and they need to be held accountable. It just can't go on. And whoever you do hire, they have to know that they're here to protect the children and the school personnel. That's a must. It's got to happen. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Next, I have Ms. Angie Viescas.
Thank you guys for allowing me to speak today. I was the first class to graduate from this high school, and I'm the founder of a national organization called Fierce Madres. And I want to talk to you guys about something a little different that hasn't quite been brought up, but you mentioned, Dr. Harrell, that you would be having audits on these locked doors. But that's not the only audit that we're going to have to request of you. We have to talk about the money and the funding. And I was watching your comments this whole evening where you told, I believe, Berlinda, when she said people have offered things for free and you turned them away because you're working with some companies. We're going to want to know those companies, if they're your friends or if they're a part of the same crew that failed this community on May 24th. I have just a couple of questions that will go fast because they just require a yes or a no. Is it true that J.J. Suarez is the person who was in charge of training Uvalde police officers on active shooter training? Is that true, yes or no?
I'm not sure if he was or not.
Okay. Is he also the instructor of Uvalde police when they graduate from the junior college?
No, he is not the instructor, no ma'am.
But he's in charge of, he's the head of the program? Did he help design it?
He is a division chair, and that's
Division chair. That's good enough. Thank you. The reason I was hoping he was here today because I too, as the leader of Fierce Madres, would like to offer free active shooter training for the entire community of Uvalde, Texas, if you guys want that. I can provide that. Yeah. So I've been in contact and meeting with other schools that have experienced this, with Santa Fe, Parkland, others, and I have to say it's a little, they're helpful because they don't want me to waste my time in certain areas that they've already gone through, like reinventing the wheel. So it's good to be working with them. But one of the things that I believe that who brought up substitute teachers, that's something that was passed in SB 11, the Senate bill, and still schools were not doing that. So they were not making sure that substitute teachers got a key to lock the door and protect their class. So I heard you say that you will make sure that that is going to happen, because across the nation, school boards are not adhering to these legislative changes. They're not, but I need Uvalde to be where we turn the page, and that from here forward, every school in America will follow what Uvalde is about to put in place. So when you do work on your multi-hazard emergency operation plan, I would like you to make sure that not only that it's included about substitute teachers and keys, but that it is enforced, because you have to inspect what you expect. You have to, Dr. Harrell. And I'm going to finish on this, because I see DPS in the room, and I can't help but wonder if they just didn't find our children worthy of being saved. I can't help but wonder, because your father, the last time there was a walkout, he was in a school board meeting tiny that a conference table took up all the space, so a whole bunch of Mexican Americans had to stand along the wall, and he was more afraid of catching tuberculosis. That's what came out of his mouth, sir. So I hope that you in this generation will be better than your father.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tom Garcia.
Good evening, Dr. Harold, President Fernandez, and School Board. I'm here to address you. I am the grandfather of 3 children that attend the Uvalde ISD. I'm not here to point fingers, make blame on anything. There's blame to go everywhere. My condolences with the families. But I started looking at the security resource officers. And the objective was to see what is a safe school. And some people say, well, it's one where you have few or no violent acts. Another way is a place repleted with bulletproof glass, metal detectors, razor wire. Another one is a school that values strong, warm relationships among faculty and students. A police presence can make a school community feel safe. SRO programs find that facilities, parents, students feel safer when the police officers are present in the school. I'm not going to cite the resources, but I will give it to Mr. Fernandez. So since Columbine, the federal government has put out a lot of money, $750 million on adding SROs. For someone to suggest that SROs prevent school shootings is absolutely unfounded in the terms of science. There is no support for that statement at all. And that's Tom McGowan, a criminal justice researcher for Bowling Green University. In 2018, the Congressional Research Service reported that the presence of SROs were present at the school shootings, or preventing school shootings was unknown. The same year, the Washington Post analyzed 200 incidents of gunfire since Columbine in 1999. In that analysis, in that analysis of shootings, SROs stopped one instance of active shooters. So that's what the Washington Post told me. I saw another one that said 179 shootings, and they had one stop, the same one stop. Our SROs cannot be expected to stop an active shooter. While SROs do effectively reduce some forms of violence in the schools, they do not prevent school shootings or gun-related incidents. While there is no conclusive or consistent evidence that SROs reduce crime among students or prevent mass shootings, the research shows that potential costs to students and communities are real. Evidence shows that the presence of SROs can mean increased rates of arrest for students or for minor offenses such as disorderly conduct, simple assault, and resulting in a greater number of children that necessarily bring exposure to the justice system, which we know is quite skewed. From May 2020 through June 2022, at least 50 districts serving over 1.5 million children have ended their school policing programs or cut their budgets. Unlike department stores, grocery stores, and parades that we have seen lately, they suffer from domestic terrorists. Our schools are attacked by its students. They are the ones most likely to be locked in your secure school. You can put in measures that give a sense of security so that we can feel better, feel more at ease. But we will not solve this complex problem. You, the Uvalde Consolidated School District do not have the solution nor the power to stop gun violence in schools. However, you do have a very public platform. Everyone's watching you. You can demand the Texas governor call for a special session to address gun violence. So those are just my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, thank you, Mr. Garcia, once again, appreciate it. And I did keep this here, so appreciate that. Next up, we have Mr. Michael Brown.
I'm going to make it simple. Is this true or false? Or a yes or no answer. Do you think our officers that were in the schoolroom that day did their job, yes or no?
No, not what I saw.
So if they didn't do their job, why are we still employing them? That's the bottom line here. Y'all hold our children accountable. Do you know Uvalde's their student guideline, their code of conduct, their pledge is to the school?
The student code of conduct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what their pledge is to the school? Do you think you're following it by allowing someone that failed our children and failed to do what was right for our children? Do you think our children should be walking that code of conduct when you don't do it yourself?
As I mentioned earlier, I'll take the report as we received yesterday and make it formal.
And it's clear. It's clear. You know, it's very clear. And I think I hate to call you a coward, and I feel very bad to disrespect you in that way, knowing you served our country.
Next up, we have Michelle Prouty.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am not a public speaker, so this is kind of a big deal for me. I would thank you for letting me speak, but let's be honest, none of us wants to be here. We're here tonight discussing school safety. It's kind of a touchy subject. Most of you here that do know me only know me because of this tragedy. So just to give you a little bit of background, I went to school in Nueces Canyon. I did attend first grade at Anthem. I went to the junior college for 2 years and then went off and joined the United States Navy. My mother, she did her student teaching at Robb Elementary. And then she spent the rest of her teaching years at Flores. Her name was Mrs. Humphrey. So maybe some of you behind me had her as a teacher. She taught 5th and 6th grade math and science. She's in her early 70s now, and she's doing well. But she's a widow, and she's living alone in the hill country. So, in November of 2020, I decided it was time to move closer, and I bought a house in Uvalde. It's right next to Robb. On Old Carrizo Road. It's a very quiet street. I have very nice neighbors. And I can see the school from both my front porch and my back porch. The sounds of kids playing at recess. Sorry. It always brought me comfort. But the world stopped on May 24th. And here we are. In this moment, this nightmare to discuss school safety measures. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the egregious failures that started from the very top. The school district has been failing this community for a long time, and it's caught up to you. The word of the day is complacency. Your failure to be the Overwatch has cost lives. You have had since 1999 to come up with a plan. And maybe you did. Where is it? That's complacency. Nothing's gonna happen here. It's Uvalde, right? Then in 2019, you received funds from the state to upgrade security measures. And you did some. Yay. I heard someone discuss the topic of the money. So that money that the school district got in 2019, did it get spent on just security? Or, because I honestly haven't looked it up to see what you got, because this has just been a nightmare from day one. And I don't have a lot of time to sit around and do a bunch of research, because I shouldn't have to. I have been involved in city councils in my past and school boards because I worked at a school district in administration. And so I know how budgets work. So I'm kind of curious, that first influx in 2019, and maybe there were more grants before that, I don't know. But let's talk about the 2019. Did you use all of it, or just a percentage? And if it was just a percentage, where did the rest of it go? Maybe you only had to meet minimum requirements and reallocated some of those funds to somewhere else, like the athletics department. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, just to kind of get some minds stimulated. But it's nothing that a state audit can't find out for us. On that note, I do believe that this room is full of very angry and alert watchdogs. They're going to want receipts as you spend the donation money, etc., that's earmarked specifically for safety improvements. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is magic in budget accounting, let me tell you. Numbers can float magically from one column to another, and we wouldn't be the wiser. But we're awake now. And I don't think any person in this room is going to let anything slide ever again. Okay, moving on to the next failure. The list is long, but I'm only going to talk about two. So this second one. I know I'm whipping a dead horse, but it is about Pete Arredondo. And I will ask the question directly. Is he an at-will employee?
He is not.
So he is under contract?
That is correct.
Okay. Does he get performance evaluations?
Yes, he does.
When was his last one?
I would have to go back and check, but we do them annually.
Okay. I don't know how your performance evaluations are set up, but the ones that I'm familiar with grade employees on a scale from 1 to 4. 4 being outstanding, 1 being, well, a failure. So I would guess at this point, down the line, he would score a 1 on every topic. Right? I just don't see the point in waiting. The investigation has nothing to do with his performance as an employee of the school. He is an employee of the school, and he failed to do his most basic obligations. The day that you put him on administrative leave, it was a slap in the face to these families and to our community. Today I looked at the Keep UCISD Safe page, and it boasts, the primary goal for Uvalde CISD Police Department is to maintain a safe and secure environment, blah, blah, blah. He failed. he and any UCISD officer that was on site failed, and therefore an ongoing risk to the safety of this school district. With that, I conclude. For the record, I, Louise Michelle Prouty, residing at 613 Old Carrizo Road, Uvalde, Texas 78801, do hereby demand that the administrative leave granted to Pete Arredondo be rescinded and his employment with UCISD be terminated.
Thank you, Ms. Prouty. Go to the next one, Mr. Patrick McGrew.
First, I want to thank you for letting me speak here today. Just have a few questions for you. If I wanted to donate $25,000 to Uvalde CISD, would you accept? Absolutely. Of course you would. If I told you a company that wanted to donate a product to help the schools be safer, would you entertain it? The answer is no. SkyPass Security has reached out to me and said, hey, Patrick, get me in touch with the Uvalde School Board. We know you. You live there, you will stand a better chance. From June the 8th through June the 12th, multiple phone calls, emails, and I had to contact 2 different police officers that I personally know to try to get in contact with someone from the Uvalde CISD. Finally, on June 15th, Kenneth Miller reached out while I was working out of state. I told him about SkyPath, and I told him what they wanted to do. He said, send me the information and we'll talk. Well, a couple of days went by. I never heard anything from him after sending the information. So finally, I could tell he was getting irritated with my emails. He's like, yes, I will take a call. And this was on June 20th. June 22nd, SkyPass Security emailed Uvalde CISD, Kenneth Miller, or Mueller, and your IT guy. Well, here it is, July 18th, and they still have not reached out to that gentleman offering a product to your school to protect our children. I'm aware that you have rapid response, which is, it's a good product, it can be. But how did it work out on the May the 24th? The product, that SkyPath product offers different services than Raptor. But you wouldn't know because you won't even respond to a phone call or an email. SkyPath could even be the worst product on the fucking country. But it was free, and you won't even entertain it. The House report released yesterday and showed all the failures from the school. You, Hal, were hired to be a leader. You were hired to make sure our children get the education they're needed and to make sure our kids were safe. The schools were not safe. The locks were broken. Admin knew the locks were broken and other things. As a leader, when your people fail, you fail. That's what leaders do. They take the blame when their people fail because as a leader, you work as a team. You failed. I would ask you to resign, but we both know that's not going to happen. People have asked over and over for Pete to be fired. Once again, you failed to do that for him. If you fire Pete, that will admit guilt. And guilt, admitting guilt, with all these lawsuits that are fixing and coming, it's not going to look good for y'all, is it? I don't want to make this political, but there's fortunately no choice. These elected school board members have the power to fire Pete and actually fire Dr. Harold. I want each and every parent to remember when it's time for re-election. If these members can't stand up and do what's right for the children and what's right for the parents, we can elect somebody that will. If the school, and someone needs to look into this, if the rules of the Uvalde CISD school board members allow for recalls, somebody needs to get that started. I would ask you an explanation for any of this, the Sky Pass security thing, but fortunately it's just going to be some kind of excuse. And if anybody wants a copy of the emails that was personally sent out that I sent to Kenneth Muller, and the emails from Sky Pass Security that was sent to Uvalde CISD, I will be more than glad to get that to them.
Yes, sir. I would like to see them myself. Because you said you personally emailed us?
Yes.
You personally did?
Yeah.
To our school district email address?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
And I've talked to Kenneth Miller, yeah.
Are you sure? Okay, because I have checked my email, my spam, every single folder I have on that, and there's not an email from you, buddy. I've asked every single one of these members here, and they have not seen them.
You want to see Kenneth Miller's email?
Definitely afterwards, if you can give me a copy. Yeah, definitely, because I would like to see it, because that's the first time I've heard about it. First time. But definitely, I would definitely like a copy of it, sir. The email is addressed to Mr. Ken Miller, not to myself or the school board. No, he said he emailed us directly. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but regardless, if he's in charge of student services, he won't even reply a call or reply to an email, and especially to a product that's free that could help. So that's just a disappointment. I have the number 19 was my speaking number. I'm going to lay this on that stage because y'all need to look at this for the rest of the night because you failed our kids. I am a parent, and I will not ever send my kid to this school. Y'all need to look at this the rest of the night.
Thank you, Mr. McGriff. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Ms. Diana Olvedo Caru.
Good evening, Dr. Harrell, school board members. Diana Olvedo Caru, citizen of Uvalde, native of Uvalde, born and reared, student of Robb Elementary, kindergarten through 6th grade. I'm not going to try to repeat anything that the parents have already shared. You've heard it again tonight. You probably will continue to hear it until they begin to get not only the answers, but the accountability that they are demanding from this school board, from this school district. As several have said, you are the people with the power and the ability to do the right thing. I understand that sometimes professional people feel that we need to follow a process, and that's all good and well. But when a tragedy like May 24th happened, and 77 minutes after the shooter entered Robb Elementary campus, and you know that we have 19 children and 2 teachers dead, how could you not, at that very moment, know that you had to begin to clean house? There's no excuse for doing otherwise. Actually, many of the officers there, if not all of them, but certainly those that represent the Uvalde School District, should have voluntarily laid down their badge, put down their guns, because they no longer had the honor that's deserving of that badge and the right to carry that gun. 19 children and 2 teachers dead because of their failure to act. You know, a week ago, the Uvalde County Sheriff went to the county commissioners and asked for $165,000 of tactical gear. It wasn't the gear that was the problem on May 24th. It was the lack of officer response. They had guns, they had shields, they had helmets, they had breaching equipment. They failed to act. When you look at the report that was and he continues to say that he was not the incident commander. He was the incident commander. He didn't do his job. There were 4 other officers from this district on site that day, 2 of them in those hallways. They failed to act, just as Mr. Arredondo failed to act. I personally don't know where your other 2 officers were in terms of sight that day, but I assume that they had as much knowledge as the other 3 officers did. So when you, upon putting Peter Arredondo on administrative leave with pay, turn around and appoint Mike Hernandez as acting police chief for the district, you're adding insult to injury. He was on site. He failed to act. So you cannot be surprised when the parents in this room continue to call out for accountability, continue to even call out asking you to resign, asking you to fire these police officers, at the very least to suspend them. Multiple systemic failures, a culture of not following the rules. You have all the policies anybody could ever want. The problem is nobody follows them. And on May 24th, it cost this community 19 children's lives and 2 teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Corral. Next we have Mr. Looks like Ryan Ramirez.
Thank you for having us up here. We got 2 things to talk about. Do y'all know anything about our mail, why it's been open when we receive it?
Yes, bail was opened and checked because we also received things that were inappropriate being sent out to families.
And then second, speaking on my daughter, that Alethea, she had entered the bully prevention on November, and for her grade level, and the title states that kindness takes courage. On November 18th, 2021, Robb Elementary posted winners on their Facebook where Alethea had won. She was so happy because she wanted her artwork to be known, And we as parents showed her the post, and she was happy that she was getting a plaque. That never happened. And she had entered the Christmas postcard contest, where she didn't win, but she would come home to us saying that there's kids being surprised in class, and their postcards are being enlarged, and we're happy. My daughter, she would want us to fight to make this happen. My daughter is Alithia Ramirez. I think bully prevention should be shown more than Christmas cards. I don't know if this killer was a bully, but she was killed by a bully. If we could make something happen, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Next, it looks like it's Vicente Salazar, I believe. Is that correct?
All right. I am the grandfather of Layla Salazar, and I want everybody to understand this. Your system failed these families. Your closed sessions that you talk about didn't save our children. What we need to do now is put families in your sessions so we know what's going on, and the way you're spending your money for the security of our children. We pay over 40% of the city budget for the school and for the police, and you hired trash. That's not right. I lost a loved one right here, my only granddaughter. I can hold myself together now because I've done my crying. Now it's time to do my fighting. And you have seen me in the papers, and you will see me in the papers a lot more, because this isn't the end. This is just the beginning of a war that you guys created for our children. I can't see how any of you can sit up there and act like it wasn't my fault. It wasn't their fault. Whose fault was it? And really, more that pissed me off more is the guy in the corner, when I asked him if there were any children hurt, he said no children were hurt. No children were hurt. That's what the man in the corner, and I can call him a liar to his face. Because he told us no children were hurt. And here's 19 lives and 2 damn teachers that got killed, but nobody was hurt, right? Isn't that what you told me?
No, sir, I never said that because we
You
didn't know
sure
the
did.
facts.
Don't tell me you didn't.
I didn't, sir.
Hey,
No.
you're talking to the wrong person, buddy. I know how to hold my ground. If you want to hide behind whatever you got, your committee or whatever the hell you want to call this, that's your goddamn problem. But don't mess with me. I got my balls. I don't hide behind nobody. And as long as you understand that, this committee is gonna, when you guys go back, you're gonna elect people, but decent people that can know what's going on with your so-called behind closed door meetings, because that's bullshit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar. Appreciate it. Next is Javier Chavez. Bless you.
Hello, how's it going? I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Javier Chavez. I'm a cousin to A. Marie and Alfred Garza. And I'm here speaking on my own behalf and trying to word, his opinion and his voice as well. I'm just gonna take that up. First of all, my question, I know I might be out of line here, Mr. Harrell, but if you don't mind answering it, how old was your father when you laid him to rest?
My father was 85.
Exactly, so I'm assuming he had a very long, fruitful life, did he not?
Yes.
Well, these children were robbed of that. So what are you gonna do to try to correct that? You have an opportunity to change the legacy of your father in your name. I used to think that you were such a prestigious, well-spoken, respectful man. And every day that I watch everything and I see that what my family and friends and everyone goes through, and every day I lose that much more respect for you and your family and your name and your father. And I'm sorry, I hope he's resting in peace, but these children were robbed of what you had, what your father had, what your mother and your wife and probably what your children had. They were robbed of that. They were taking that away from them. And now a lot of these children that survived, one of my nieces included, are afraid to go back to school. They're terrified to go back. They don't want to. They don't trust anyone. They barely even trust their parents, I'm assuming, at this point, because their parents every day told them that that's the safest place in the world. And we've always been brought up to believe that. Every day in school, I never once feared for my life. I was never afraid of anything when I was at school because I knew that if I had a problem or if something was wrong, I could ask y'all for help and y'all would correct it and y'all would help me. Now we lost all that. All that's gone. And at the moment, you have an opportunity to correct that and to try to gain some of the trust. You're not going to gain it all. I could tell you that right now. That's a God honest truth. You're not going to gain all their trust back, not any of the community. But you have an opportunity to try to correct it and work towards that by getting rid of Pete. It's so simple. It's so easy. And I know maybe there's a lot of forms that you need to fill out, a lot of things that you need to do, but why not do it? We're coming up on 2 months already. We're coming up on 2 months and y'all have still not done nothing. There's families here that their lights getting shut off and whatnot, and they have to worry about how they're gonna make ends meet. One of the fathers had to lay his child to rest and go to work later that day. Why are they not getting help? Why are they not getting assistance? But this guy who's not worth anything, not worth the scum on my shoe, he's getting assistance, he's getting security, he's getting peace of mind. Where's their peace of mind? Where's their security? Where's their help? So I'll give you an opportunity to answer.
You speak a lot of truth, you really do. There's going to be a lot of work to do to bring back trust. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be bit by bit.
Yeah, and another thing, I don't know the gentleman to right here, this one, yeah, I don't know your name, nor do I even care to learn it, but at this point, you had earlier said at the beginning of this meeting that, the last one was informal and it wasn't run properly. There's no way for this to be run properly. There's no, code of conduct for this kind of thing because this thing isn't normal, nor should it be the norm. Y'all are trying to normalize this like, oh, it happened, we're gonna figure out a solution, sorry. But that's not what they need. They don't need a sorry. They need action, not promises and empty words. That's all you're doing. You keep giving them the runaround. All you're doing is telling them the same information every single time. Everyone that comes up here, they ask you the same thing, and there's no direct answer. There's no, we're going to go by the book, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Letting those children, all of them get massacred and sit in there, have that teacher, Mr. Reyes, lay there while he's watching these children bleed to death, and he could do nothing because he's going to get shot himself. Y'all failed them. Y'all didn't do anything, and you have the opportunity to act right now, and you're literally just sitting there doing nothing, going in circles, making them replay everything back and forth, back and forth. You're just making them relive it all. And I'm sorry if I'm being rude and not letting you respond, but it's just, you're literally going to say the same thing again. We're looking at the books, we're looking at the investigation, we're going to go through the proper channels. Well, the time has come already. They need an answer. They want an answer, and they deserve an answer. Everyone does, the whole town. You failed everyone, not just these children. You failed the town, everyone. Y'all want to try to hide it up, even as far as going and making everybody, this isn't y'all, it's probably the city, but your father, was also one of the city managers at one point. I know my mother worked with him for 9 years. And again, I thought he was an amazing man. Learning about his past now, I could tell you, I think very little of him and of you and your family at this point.
Yes, sir. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to do everything we can to get it done correctly. Yes, sir, and that's my word to you, sir. We will get it done, and we will make sure that we get things out to all the families, to the school district, anybody that's involved with the district, that we get that information out to y'all, and be as transparent as possible with everything that's going on, from when the fence got delivered to when portables are getting delivered, all that information, we'll get that to y'all.
Okay, and then coming back around, like I said, we're gonna sound like a broken record. Everybody's gonna say the same thing every single time, and you're gonna have the same answer, of course. But what are you gonna do about Pete? I know he's not the only one, but at this point in time, he is the main one, and that's people are calling him a scapegoat, this and that. They could say whatever they want. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, he failed these children, he failed the schools, he failed everybody by not taking charge or saying something. If he didn't know he was in charge, why not say that? Why not say, I have no idea what's going on, give the orders to someone else. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna man up and do this. This is above my pay grade, I can't do it. And then he's on a contract, that's fine. Contracts get broken every day. Why can't you just do it right now? Why can't you do it yesterday? Why couldn't you do it a month ago? Why do these parents have to keep coming up here and telling you the same thing day in, day out? They're already hurting, they're tired, they're exhausted. These children have all been laid to rest, and they still can't even rest. Their souls can't rest because their parents are uneasy and they're unsafe, and they're sick to their stomachs. They can't do anything. They can't live knowing that their children are gone. That's it, they're gone. And y'all sit up here, like all prestigious and whatnot, acting like you're doing something, but the fact of the matter is you're not doing anything. I'm sorry, but y'all are sitting on y'all's asses, and I'm not judging y'all. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I'm just being blunt. Because this is something bad that happened. This isn't something that's normal. It's not like someone broke a window at school, okay? Like, these children were murdered. They were massacred. It wasn't an accident. It was intentional. This guy went in there and did what he did. And y'all stand there and act like, okay, well, it was an accident. Sorry, guys, we're going to figure out what happened. And I understand that. But is it really going to take this long? At this point, they're probably going to finish the investigation before you figure out what to do with Pete or what to do with yourself. And like they keep saying, either stand up or stand down. Because at this point, you're just sitting there. And then that too, another thing, how you said you're looking into additional law enforcement. Who's gonna pay for that? Is it taxpayers' money? Is it gonna be taken out of the fund that y'all been given to secure our schools? Where's that money gonna come from? Because you're gonna keep the ones you already have employed, or you're gonna keep them and bring a whole other set of law enforcement. That's gonna be pricey, that's expensive. We've all heard about how much it costs just to get all these law enforcement people out here to take care of us because apparently our own law enforcement couldn't do their job. And how is that gonna help the people? How is that gonna help anyone raising taxes and causing more, turmoil in the community? That's all you're doing. You're upsetting everyone.
There'll be grant money that we'll use to pay.
Okay, so why wasn't that grant money used before? Is it just we had to have a tragedy like this in order for y'all to realize, okay, the safety of our children is really important? Y'all have always stressed that to us. Me as a child, I remember you as superintendent. I worked at a summer program at your building, and you would always stress that how children are the future. That's why we need to focus on them, their education. There's times that I wanted to drop out of school and just give up and call it quits, and teachers would actually, try to force you to go and talk you into going because that was their passion. Now it's just about getting a paycheck, apparently. I mean, to you, it seems like it's just getting a paycheck. I'm assuming you're probably the highest paid in all of the school district for the most part, are you not?
That is correct.
Exactly. So as long as your check is nice and comfy, I mean, it's fine if you overlook a broken lock, a broken door. It's fine because, it's just not in the budget. We don't have the money, right? But look at what that caused, overlooking something. It caused all these children to be taken away from their families. This isn't something that's gonna heal overnight. It's not gonna change. It's not gonna, in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they're still gonna feel the hurt. By then, most likely, Father Time will do his deed with you, and you won't be here to see all that. But all of their brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts that are younger, they're gonna be here for all those years to remember that and see that. So don't let that be your legacy, Mr. Harrell. Be the change. Like, do something. Even if you have to jump through hoops and skip a certain process or something, it's fine. because it means that at least there's something that you're gonna fix, you're gonna do something. You're not just gonna stand around and say, oh, well, I can't do it because this, I can't do it because of that. That's all you keep telling these people. Like, I've sat back there listening to everything, and it's literally, y'all are just a broken record, just the same as them. Like, would they want Pete fired, they want him fired. Maybe it's not that easy, but in the end of the day, it is. When you want someone gone, you can get them gone, and I've seen them do it at the school district. I've seen them, when someone's not wanted, they get rid of them. Yeah, and I'm sorry I'm not addressing any of the other of y'all because I really don't know who y'all are. And again, like I said, there's really no point in me even learning y'all's names because I wasn't planning on speaking today, but just seeing everything, getting enraged and, frustrated, I decided at the end, yeah, maybe I can go and voice my opinion. I didn't have anything ready to go, but honestly, you don't need anything because everything's right there in front of you. Nothing, y'all say y'all are transparent with each other, but earlier you said, oh, someone else got the email and you didn't get it. Do y'all not relay any of these messages to each other? Are y'all not all corresponding with each other, being transparent as y'all have constantly said over and over? I mean, obviously there's a strong lack of communication, and I feel like that was the main thing, that was the main fault that day, was the lack of communication.
Right.
So what are you gonna do to change it? I mean, are you gonna do something? If not, I think they would prefer that you stand down. If you're not gonna stand up and speak for the children, if you're not gonna do something, make some kind of change happen. It's really as simple as that, Mr. Harold. You can't be having them jump through hoops anymore and giving them the runaround constantly at every single meeting. It's gonna be the same questions, and if you're gonna give the same answer, we need someone up there who's gonna give us a different answer. And it's not because we don't like your answer and it's not palatable or nothing, it's just because it's not the right answer. There's a right and a wrong, and I'm sorry, but you're giving them the wrong answer. And everyone in the world can see that right now. The spotlight is literally on Uvalde right now. And they're watching what you're doing, so don't let this be your legacy. I'm sorry again to bring your father up, but he left a bad legacy for you. You have an opportunity to fix that and change it and be a good person and do the right thing. So do it for them. If not for yourself or your father or your family or your pride, like they said to set aside, then do it for the children at least, for the future that you say they're our future. They'll remember you maybe in a better light. And do something. That's all I gotta say. I mean, like I said, it's just gonna be the same answer every time, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Next we have Ms. Laura Garza.
I come to you today as many things, a parent of 5 children, 4 of which are in your district, an aunt to one of the children lost in this tragedy, and as just a human being. I didn't know if I wanted to write something down or if I wanted to just speak from my heart if given the chance. I keep hearing how every department needs to hold their own accountable, and you as a superintendent hold and dictate what happens to the man who was supposed to be in charge the day this tragedy happened. I ask you, hold him accountable for his actions as only you can. I ask that you understand me as a parent. Sending my children back to UCISD is giving you another chance and yet again placing my children in your care, and that is not something any mother takes lightly. My daughters are going to the 11th grade and hold the numbers of 29 and 31 in their class and take their education very seriously, and that is all in jeopardy to them not wanting to come back to school here. As much as I want to pull them from this district, they have put so much effort into your early college program and are on the verge of losing it all due to feeling unsafe. I have a son going to the 4th grade, afraid for his life, only to go back to school and remember every day that he lost his cousin in that very grade. Every child in this town's education is going to be affected because of this, and their education is what helps make them be the change in this world and be the leaders we all need them to be. Accountability is the one word we have heard so much since the start of this tragedy. It has been proven that the monsters that do these mass shootings didn't attend school on a regular basis. As a person who held the position as an attendance clerk in the past for this district, I have seen firsthand how many kids aren't made come to school. So my point here is that it starts with the school district and what is being done to change that. When I worked for the school district, Mr. Harrell, you were the assistant superintendent. And I know firsthand that you are a great man with a big heart, despite what everybody thinks, because again, I am only speaking for myself. And I pray that you prove everyone wrong and hold everyone accountable for their inaction. And going forward with this school year, that you make sure that every person you hire to protect our children is overly trained and equipped. I also want you to remember that it is legal for an 18-year-old to purchase these kinds of weapons that killed our loved ones. You have kids at that very age at this campus. So I ask you take that into consideration when you make the decision on what's secure enough for our children. And I also ask you to remember one thing and one thing only. Our children are what makes a school, and without our children, there will be no school. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Lastly, we have Mr. Jesus Rizzo.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. If it's okay with you, I'd like to invite my brother Manuel, which is Jackie's uncle, just for a few minutes, just to say something, if it's okay with y'all.
Absolutely. Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Manuel Rizzo. I'm Jackie's uncle, as you heard. You can relax for a little bit. I'm a little nicer than the rest of these moms here and speakers that I've heard here today. But I have something important to say about the Raptor system that's required by the school policy. It sounds like a really fierce system that we have in place, but it's yet named after an extinct animal, a dinosaur. This system was designed to alert staff members of multiple situations, such as the one that failed and took the life of my niece. UCISD approved the recent installation of the Emergency Management Alert System in just October of 2021. I'm sure you board members received a comprehensive contract indicating all options available and selected those, as well as who made the recommendation to purchase the final equipment. Did you review all the proposals and eliminate any valuable options to save money? Yes or no?
All of them do get reviewed and gets into us. We go with the best option. The recommendation is made by the administrator, whether it be Dr. Harrell or the person overseeing that.
In open records, we can request those, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. Who's responsible for implementing, training, testing, and documenting the Raptor system in its entirety? Can you name the person?
Director of Student Services oversees that program.
Who does that person respond to?
To me.
Okay. I know a particular case where a teacher did not get added to the Raptor system when she or he was hired in 2019. They were finally added in 2022. Complete failure. So let's talk about the only camera, the unmonitored camera in the hallway, and I clarified this with the investigative committee yesterday. This single camera was not enabled for the rest of the officers standing outside to view and hear what was going on inside that hallway. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I do. They need to know that as well. Now, maybe if we would have given them the opportunity to view it and hear what was going on, maybe some of those 300 standing outside would have had the courage to walk inside that hallway, inside that classroom. Don't you agree?
Quite possibly.
Yes.
Right.
No, it is very possible. Have you all reached out to the Chief of Police Association for their assistance to request either paid or retired volunteers that are properly trained to monitor each of the schools this fall? Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Why not?
Make a note. I will look at
They
that.
are,
We've worked with the
we
Texas
heard them
Department
at the Homeland Security and Public Hearing weeks ago. You weren't there, Mr. Harrell. Neither were any of you. We heard them, and we heard what they said, and we heard the failures in the school system even before this report came out. You had an opportunity to reach out to them. Now, you're asking these families to come here and send their other children. Maybe they're only ones that are left to come back to the school. And our legislators that we spoke to in D.C., our representatives like Tony Gonzalez, who this man right here asked him if he could help him. I won't go into the details, but he asked him if he could help him, and he looked him in the face and he said, if this is your child, would you help us? And he said no. And I want to make that clear. Is that right? There it is. So that's just what we have today from right here that you all that are sitting here up through Texas, our governor in D.C. We went up there and met with many others, but yet the representatives of our state, this great state of Texas, would not meet with us. Sad, very sad. Well, I'll tell you something, that we're not giving up, and you're asking these children to come here in the fall, and you're delaying it by a short period of time. Some of these parents that I spoke to, they're going to sit there with their children, and I'm asking you, are you okay with that? Because you can't provide the level of security that they're asking you here today. Will you allow that?
We will look at it case-by-case basis.
I don't think they're going to have a choice. Either you're going to allow them to go in there, or they're not going to go to school. I'm sorry, but that's what I heard. So, Jacqueline, if I may, Gloria, this is for you. Javier Flores, honorable to know you as a friend and a family member and a close relative of the family of Jacqueline Cáceres. You were there during her baptism. You are from our hometown, our home community. Although you've been supportive, and you have been, but we're asking you for one thing, just like we've asked our politicians. In front of these families, I'd like for you to tell us, will you be a Judas, a politician who doesn't want to represent us properly, like the ones we have in Texas, or will you stand with the family and the victims and do what is right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Harold, what I've heard here today, I've heard again and again, because you don't do as they ask, as we ask. But I think it's really simple. It really is. And more today, I've heard here today. Why don't you do what is right and let someone come in and take control and responsibility? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Wanted to ask you guys if somehow y'all could get JJ on the line. I had some very direct questions for JJ. Totally dropped the ball. I was looking at his resume. Extremely impressive. Guy graduates, he teaches classes, SWAT member, patrol officer, you name it. From what I understand, he was at the location. I wanted to ask JJ today if he could somehow explain to these families, to AJ, to Mr. Reyes, the survivors, what the heck took so long? But what does JJ do? Where does he go? To a baseball game. Annabelle, I don't know where she's at. I can't understand what is more important than to be here tonight, to face the fire, One thing that's evident when I look up there, for whatever reason, President and Dr. Harold, the only ones that speak, something leads me to believe that behind closed doors, that's what typically happens back there. You have military background, retired. Thank you for your service, sir. Retired military. Nurse, not sure what you do, Mr. President. I believe you're an educator. Someone, some way has got to get ahead of it. It's called crisis management. You do not sit there and you wait until everything's falling apart, the world is crumbling around you, for you to say finally, I think I'm going to place Mr. Arredondo on administrative leave. The gentleman back there mentions terminate the employment. I've got news for you. The lawsuits are coming anyhow. What's one more? Buy him out, retire him. You got to move forward some way, somehow. Dr. Harrell, I asked at the previous meeting, Dr. Harrell, I mentioned that we may have to ask for your resignation. The way things are going, Dr. Harrell, doesn't look good. I don't believe it's going to end well. I don't believe it's going to end well for any one of y'all. Some way, somehow, you're going to have to face the music. It's your own districts, your own people that voted for you. They're going to hold you accountable. You need to step up. You need to hold whoever's leading the pack. You need to understand, you need to make them understand that it does not end well. You have failure after failure after failure. I'm sure by now you've read the report. You studied the report, you've read it. They, beginning with Pete and the keys, the radio, come on. The most basic, fundamental thing, 2 radios. You can't even take one, can you? Because what does it do to you? Because it affects your shooting. I suppose that, I'm not law enforcement, but I suppose that when you go to target practice or you go through your commission, they ask you to leave the radio in the car, right? Unacceptable. You have the people calling 911, they're still in the room, and what do? I'm sure y'all have seen the video. I'm not going to get into details out of respect for the families, but the guy with the sanitizing his hands, the guy with the smiley face, unacceptable. The thing that concerns me probably the most, if I understand things correctly, the person that's out at the junior college teaching the course is the very same person that you put in Pete's position. Ask around. Ask them what they were teaching in that course. An 8-hour course at the junior college that tells the people, I suppose, a whole bunch of stuff. Ask the people that attended the course, do not hesitate. Attack. Neutralize the subject, the shooter, everything. And what do? Hell, he's outside. Bring him in here. Ask him if he was there. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then I apologize to him. Ask him, were you there and were you teaching the course? Were you at Robb? But why would you appoint him to take Pete's job? It's a slap in the face to the thing. The other people that are there, your other officers that are, why are they still on payroll? Suspend them. Fire him, hire somebody, an external agent, somebody from somewhere to come in and revamp your organization. I'm gonna leave you with one thought, Dr. Harrell. But before that, I'm gonna open it up. Flores, Mr. Lambert, Mrs. Perez, Mr. Fernandez. Can't see that far, I'm sorry.
Mr. Fowler.
Mr. Fowler. I'm gonna open it up. Address the public. You got the floor. You got everything. But when you get a chance, ask JJ to come up here, man up. Answer the questions, JJ. Very simple. You're the subject expert. You do the curriculum. Do everything that you're supposed to do, JJ. You got your master's, you got everything you need, but you can't postpone a baseball game. You can't put somebody else in charge, right? So what do you want to do? You don't want to take the heat. Just like you couldn't handle the situation at Robb, JJ. Here's my thought. Dr. Harrell, you're the CEO of the organization, sir. It all, as I mentioned before, it all rolls right up to you, sir. You need to ask yourself a question. Is it best for me to step down, to step aside for the better of the community? And if the question dictates that it is, then so be it, sir. Maybe that is the best legacy you can leave behind, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo.
Appreciate it, Mr. Rizzo.
And excuse me, and again, the floor is open for the rest of the board.
I know Mr. Rizzo was the last one, but I need to ask a couple of questions. Can you first clarify, what is Benson used for on a normal basis?
What is Benson used for on a normal basis?
Yes.
An alternative campus and offices, and then also we do use it for professional development, training, and things of that nature.
So so now it's going to turn into 3rd and 4th grade campus, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you can guarantee everybody here and make it publicly known that with the funds, the school, a new school will be built for the children and not a new office for Uvalde CISD.
Absolutely. It's for our kids.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this question. What made y'all think that it was okay for Uvalde Police Department to be standing outside this building right now? Mike Hernandez, Adrian, what made y'all think that that was okay? After what we just saw, or we witnessed, what made y'all think it was okay? It's a rhetorical question.
They're still our employees, and I expect them to show up for work.
What this quote right here, it says Uvalde CISD, it says loyal and true, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are y'all loyal and true to us and our kids, or to Pete and the other officers? Who are you loyal and true to, is what I want to know. No, answer.
Yeah, students and parents. And students, parents, and staff, absolutely. Everyone that...
So why the hell does Pete still have his job? Loyal and true my ass.
Have until noon tomorrow before we start taking each and every one of you off of this committee. I swear. Noon tomorrow. He better be gone, or y'all will all be recalled or removed or whatever we have to do, because y'all cannot answer a damn question. All you do is skirt around it and everything like that. Do right by our kids, not by your friends.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, definitely. Well, that is the last one we had, so we thank you for coming out. Oh, we have one more?
Hold on.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Stevens. Go ahead, sir.
Everybody been spitting on that thing. Take away everything that I am, except for the OG, because I would have ran in that score, I would have died trying. That's for sure. Come here. Luis, come here real quick.
Yes, sir.
No, because this is the only person out of this whole group who contacted me to give their condolences. Thank you. But I want you to look at my daughter. And I want one thing. I want one thing for my daughter and all of these that we've lost, and that's accountability. That's all I'm asking for. I'm as pissed off as everybody in this room, but I'm composed. That's what I'm asking of you and everybody up here. accountability. We need accountability.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys for turning off the timers. Your last meeting was a disaster. I couldn't believe it. I watched it. Turning off the timer is very important. It's very important for these people to talk to you, and it's very important for you to listen. All of you are elected up there. None of you have talked. You need to talk to these people. You need to answer. Butt in. Don't let them take all the answers. Butt in. You can answer. That's good for you. They want to hear this. Last, once a month a meeting is not adequate anymore. You guys need to meet either every week or every 2 weeks and listen to these people. Open mic, no timers, listen to them. And then you answer them what you're doing. How are you changing things? What are you doing? They need to know every week. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, Chip.
Lewis, Mr. Harrell, I was once here at Uvalde for, to get my education, get back on track. Went back to Carrizo, didn't finish there. But my thing is how seriously do you take lockdowns?
Very.
So how did JJ get his daughter out when the school was already on lockdown?
I'm not aware that he did.
Yeah, nobody's thought about that. A parent went in to get her son out, and they told her no. JJ walks in and comes out walking with his daughter. How seriously do y'all take that lockdown? That's how easy that a police officer could go get their own child?
I was not aware that occurred.
Yeah, it was like.
That makes me very angry. That is favoritism. And I don't put up with favoritism. And you know that, Luis. You coach my son.
Yes, sir, definitely.
And I teach him to respect others.
Yes, sir.
But a lot of favoritism goes on in this school. A lot. Y'all need to hold it. Principals, teachers, everybody accountable. Because you know what? At my job, I myself, guess what? I'm without a job. I'm a damn good worker. I work hard. I break my back for that company. But if I do wrong, I'm gone. There's been a couple of incidents throughout the years. My daughter was threatened with a pencil. What happened? Nothing. All right, we didn't want to do nothing about it because we didn't want our kids to be put down. They're going to sit on the bench because their parents made a lot of trouble for the school. So we didn't do nothing about it. A year later, happens again, same kid. Guess what? I put it all together today. The kid's grandmother is a teacher at Robb. Well, she's not there no more. But that's why. A couple of years later, my son is at Robb playing at the end of the school day, tells my wife that he was scared to talk to her because a kid showed him a gun. So my wife had to turn back around and go let the principal know. They got it all squared away. Guess what? It was a loaded gun.
Y'all didn't take it serious. Y'all never take school threats serious. My 8th grade year, 2018, don't forget that 2 classmates in my grade threatened to kill people. They had a hit list. And y'all known about it all this time because they threatened to kill us, our
because the school has too much pride to put somebody down, and they don't want to show their true colors. You know what? If my kid does wrong, they do wrong. They go to jail. You gotta hold everybody to the T.
That she was gonna kill me.
Right? If I was to go and say, hold a pencil to this man right now, do you think I have all these officers on me? And what would I be charged with? An assault. But nothing was ever done. Nothing was ever done. That hurts me that my kids come to the school and they got to put up with all this bullcrap favoritism. I could go on. I got a bunch of stories. I don't work here, but when something needs to be done, guess what? I come to the school and it gets done. So I need y'all to man up, woman up, do something. There's more to this in this school that goes on that a lot of parents don't know. Oh, I'll get with y'all. I thought you were news. But I'm already tired. I was sitting at my house watching this live, and you know what? I finally got the guts to get up and walk down here. No matter how much, I got 2 kids left in this school, and no matter how much, if they got to sit on the bench for that, well, you know what? Y'all are just a piece of craps. That goes for the head coaches. This is going to be y'all's new, this talk for Uvalde County. Moving on, your kids. You need to bring your kids up here and let them talk to these people. What do we got? Another 10 years, 20 years. Hopefully a little bit longer. Exactly. This should be Uvalde. Your kids, you need to get them to speak up. Not to hide, not to be scared to speak up.
How are y'all supposed to let these kids go back to school? To use the restroom. They should be secure in the classroom. And for a teacher to be letting my brother go to the restroom, he would have been dead.
Just like every cop knows, any little movement that person makes is possibly shot, dead. So that teacher was going to let my son go out to use the restroom. And luckily, when the squad came in, I don't know what he did or what, but luckily he wasn't shot. Because it could have been a bad day for me. I'm sorry, but it would have been a bad day for me. And he's just a quiet person that minds his own business and likes to do skating and pole vaulting. And that's all he cares about in his school. He plays basketball. So y'all need to start holding the teachers accountable. That's why teachers leave, because there's so much favoritism. Hey, you know what? If you got to fire a teacher and they get mad at you, that's okay. You did the right thing. I don't have many friends here, but you know why? Because I tell you the truth. Whether if it hurts you or not, And if it hurts you, fine, okay, cool down in a couple of days, call me back. Hey, we could be friends. But it's better for me to hear the truth from anybody else or me coming to you.
Right.
So, thank you. But
Favoritism is something that we look at. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Menchaca. Yes, ma'am. I move on to item number 3, which is adjournment. Before I adjourn, though, thank you so much. Your words have meant a lot to us. We have a lot to think about, and definitely accountability will be at the top of our list. And like I said, we will definitely be as transparent with you. Dr. Harrell will get that information out to you in orderly fashion, and make sure if there's something you don't understand, please give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to address it with you. We make sure to get this right for our students. Thank you so much.
Oh my god, they're so good. Oh my. Oh no.